Today on the show, we have professional mixed martial artist fighter Andrea KGB Lee. She fights in the 125-pound division for Invicta FC, which is the very top women's MMA organization in the world. And if you don't know about her, you should, because she is an exciting up-and-comer. Her future is extremely bright, and she is a badass. Hey, Andrea, could you tell us a little bit about yourself personally, and then give the listeners some insight into your fighting career?
I started training about 5 years ago in martial arts, and started out with boxing, just doing a couple of Golden Gloves tournaments here and there, and then eventually I started doing some MMA. And originally MMA is what I had wanted to do. I just figured that it would be a lot smarter. You know, my coach and I, Donnie, thought that it would be a lot smarter for us to just, you know, start with boxing, kind of ease our way into mixed martial arts. I've done some kickboxing tournaments, some Muay Thai tournaments. I've done a little bit of everything. Just really trying to prepare myself for that pro level. And I've always been focused on becoming a professional fighter since I started 5 years ago. Actually, originally I had wanted to do the Olympics. You know, I was training to go to the Olympics, but then we decided, you know, that MMA would be a better opportunity for me. And we figured that I'd be able to go a lot more further in MMA than boxing, because it seems to be like a dying sport.
Uh-huh.
And it's not dying, but it just seems like it is. Like, it's just not as much fun to watch as MMA. So, I'm also a mom. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I'm married to my coach, who's, you know, Donnie. And, you know, this is all that I do. I don't have another job. I just train full time.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, looking at your amateur accolades, you know, you've got a gigantic list of them, and you know, in not just in you know, it's in fighting sports, but you know, it's in jiu-jitsu tournaments, it's in you know, kickboxing, boxing, you know, you have an amateur MMA career. You know, you seems really successful, and you're young. You're still 25, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're super young.
My birthday is actually in a few days.
Okay, you just add still young, but yeah, like looking at your career so far, it looks like you've kind of been primed to have some really great professional success, you know. And I've seen some of your fights, and your last fight was for Invicta, which is, you know, if people don't know, it's the best you know, women's MMA fighting organization in the world. And yeah, your fights you're really exciting. You know, you have great striking. And when I saw your fight, I think it was actually, I've looked back at some of your other fights that I've been able to find online recently, but the first time I ever saw you was at Invicta 10 in December of 2014. And, you know, I was thinking, oh, you know, I really, when I saw you, I was like, oh, you know, there's another, you know, cool up and comer. And I think I'd seen on I think it was the fight before that at Invicta 9, Michael Chiavello, who is a really, you know, really popular fight sports commentator. You know, I don't know if you probably know this. He said that you are impressive, highly marketable, and you're going places. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I did, yeah. I heard that. Well, Donnie, he you know, he loves Michael Chiavello's accent, and he kept on repeating that over and over. He was proud that he said that about me.
Yeah, but for sure, you've got a bright future, definitely. And you know, we'll say your MMA record so far is 2-1, and your last fight against Roxy Modafferi, it was you lost that to decision, but you had only taken that fight on 2 weeks' notice. So you know, if anyone who knows anything about fight sports, you know, there's a lot of preparation involved. So you know, I would say you get a slide on that one, right? I hope you feel that way, because it was definitely a fun fight to watch, you know.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you, why do they call you KGB? I mean, obviously that's a reference to the you know, the secret police of the former Soviet Union, but why is that your nickname?
Right. Well, Donnie, he's my coach and husband. You know, I keep clarifying that, because I just, you know, I feel like I need people to understand who Donnie is whenever I, you know, refer to him. He actually has always thought that I was kind of Russian, and so he just kind of started calling me KGB, and then people around the gym started to pick up on it, and I didn't think that it was. I actually thought it was kind of silly at first. I was like, gosh, don't call me KGB. That's so silly. And then, every day I'd come to the gym, somebody would be like, hey, KGB.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, really? You too? You're calling me KGB? And then it just kind of like picked up and everybody just started calling me KGB. But we actually, at one of the Muay Thai tournaments that we went to in Virginia, we met some Russians. They were there competing, and they asked me why my nickname was KGB. And Donnie was like, well, she looks Russian, because they wanted to know if I was Russian.
Oh, really?
But, they knew that I wasn't with any of the Russian teams. And then Donnie said, well, she looks Russian, so they call her KGB. And then they looked me up and down, and they're like, yeah, she does.
That's
so even
funny.
the Russians agreed.
It flows, too. It rhymes with Lee, so it kind of rolls off the tongue.
It does, yeah.
You're fighting in Invicta, which is a huge deal for a pro female fighter. But I have to say it, the UFC has two divisions. They have the 135-pound division and the 115-pound division. You currently fight at 125. Is there any thoughts of you? I mean, I would have to imagine that, the UFC is just it's the premier place to be. Everyone wants to be there. Would you have, until they get a 125-pound division someday, would you have any thoughts of moving up to 135 or anything like that? Is that in the plans?
No, I am going to stick with 125. I know that I could not make it to 115. I walk around at like 145, 147. And I would struggle. I've struggled to get to 122 at catch weight. And that was really hard for me. I didn't actually make that weight. But 135, I would think would be too easy for me to get to. And the girls, Ronda Rousey, she cuts from 165, 170, something like that. And I only walk around 140, 147. So that I would be giving up a lot of weight to fight those girls. And I just think that, I'm going to be a champion at the 125 weight class, not 135 or 115. I feel like if I can make it to 115, I feel like I would have a really good chance against those girls, but I just can't make it at 115.
Yep.
So I'm going to stick with 125 in weight.
Well, hey, I'll tell you, the plan is, you're super marketable. You've got the skills, you've got the look, all that. You're super young, so you're still starting your career. You got a long ways to go, and I would say the goal would be, like you said, to get the 125-pound championship in Invicta, and make a big name for yourself, make a big splash, and then kind of the UFC kind of would, they'd have a huge reason to pull in that division. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of
right.
That's how that's pretty much worked for them, anyways, with the two women's divisions that they have.
Yeah, and I think that's, I'm perfectly happy and comfortable, with Invicta.
Invicta's great.
I don't want to go to, yes, they are, and I don't want to go to another organization anytime soon. If they do open up a 125 weight class, obviously that's where Invicta wants us all to go, is to the UFC. They're helping us get to there, but I'm perfectly content with Invicta, and I'm happy with Shannon Knapp and Julie. And, I enjoy fighting for Invicta. I really do. So, I'm not in a huge hurry or anything.
And if the listeners don't already know, Invicta and the UFC have some kind of a strange partnership. I don't, completely understand it, but you can actually watch a lot of the Invicta events on the UFC Fight Pass, which is only like $10 a month. I have Fight Pass, so whenever there's an Invicta event, I've been watching them, and I believe they still keep some of the fights in their fight library. Obviously, obviously, we're not getting paid by UFC to say this, but Fight Pass is awesome, and that's also a great place to watch the Invicta fights. I want to ask you, what inspires you to do what you do? What inspires you to want to fight? Obviously, there's a career involved, but is there something deeper?
Well, I've always wanted to make something of myself. I've never felt like I was just an ordinary person. And not that being ordinary is there's nothing wrong with that. I've always felt like there was something greater. I had a greater purpose, and I'm not good at anything else. I'm not, before I started fighting, I was waiting tables, and I wasn't in school, and I just felt like there had to be something out there that I was good at, and then I started fighting, in training with Donnie, and then, everybody kept telling me that I was, I was good and I'm going to be great one day and I'm going to be a champion one day. I didn't believe them, but, I'm starting to believe it. And I feel like this is definitely my calling. And, I would like for people to remember my name one day. I want to be as big as Ronda Rousey. I would like to be bigger than Ronda Rousey if that's possible. But, I just feel like, I want to make something of myself, and I don't want to just be, I don't want to be just a server waiting tables. I don't want to just have a regular 9-to-5 job. I want to be if somebody remembers. I want to be somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what drives me to be, a fighter and to.
Yeah, it's good to have, high hopes and huge goals like that, but you can actually back it up. You're in a field that you're excelling at. And, like I said, from a huge MMA, lunatic fan that I am, I definitely am on the bandwagon for sure. And, I think you could definitely achieve all that things. Like I said, you're super impressive and you're, really young and you're just now starting your pro career. So, I really, truly don't, I'm not just blowing smoke up, I truly believe all that. And,
well, it's definitely my dream. It's definitely something that I want to do. And I'm hoping to, prove everybody that thinks that I can do this right. I don't want to. I have a lot of people a lot of friends and fans and family and everybody that's been backing me for so long, and just everybody's believed in me longer than I've even started believing in myself. I just don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to let myself down either. So.
Some people don't like to hear this, but it's true. But in MMA and fighting, it's entertainment. And, there's two key ingredients that go along with being successful. And one is being a great fighter, and the other is being marketable and, someone that people want to watch, and, whether you like it or not, that's the truth. And you're definitely marketable for sure. And, obviously, your skills speak for themselves. So, like I said before, if you work hard, you could definitely achieve all those dreams for sure. You're scheduled to have surgery actually tomorrow, correct? After this recording?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Wait. No. Thursday.
Okay. So it's in 2 days from now. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about that? I know you have a little bit of a currently, as of the recording, you have a little bit of a fundraiser going because it's an expensive surgery, and I think you had said that you needed the doctor required a lot of the money up front, and just tell us about it because I know it's an important surgery.
I ruptured my eardrum a few days before my fight with Roxanne, and I didn't know that it was as bad as it was until I went to the doctor after my fight, and the doctor told me that it had been like 3/4 of it was ruptured completely, and that it would be a miracle if it healed on its own. So he recommended me to have surgery, especially being a fighter. I would definitely need it, or else it would hinder my performance anytime that I was to fight. And plus, it would hurt really bad if I was to get hit there. So we scheduled the surgery, and the doctor required me to pay him, obviously a couple $1,000 up front. And I have insurance, so my insurance is covering everything for some reason. So I got to pay him a couple grand up front, and it doesn't include the hospital fee. So I got to pay the hospital up front too before my surgery. That's another couple of $1,000. And that doesn't include the anesthesia and, like some pathology. That's what they said that I needed to pay a pathology. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it's called, pathologist.
Yeah, whenever you walk into a hospital, there's like literally like 20 different people that you'll be billed for, separately.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, I had some friends that were like, well, start a fundraiser, because if I didn't have the money, then they were going to cancel the procedure, and I needed to get my surgery done as soon as possible. So we scheduled it within 2 weeks, and so we started the fundraiser 2 weeks ago, and I had thought of the idea to raffle off some boxing gloves. So that was going to be the original plan, was just to raffle off my KGB boxing gloves. I was going to sign them and raffle them off, and then other people started donating some items, Leslie Smith contacted me, and she's donating a pair of boxing gloves that she's going to sign to help raffle off for me. she's going to send them to me so I can send them to whoever the winner is. And I also have some T-shirts. One signed by Jessica I, and another UFC fighter whose name my mind is gone blank and I cannot think of who it is. I feel terrible about it. But Stipe, Stipe Miocic. Yeah.
Oh, Stipe.
He signed a shirt for me.
Yeah, Stipe.
Stipe. Okay.
Yeah, he's a heavyweight.
Yeah, Stipe.
Yeah, that's a huge name. Yeah.
Yes.
Every time I read his name, I say Stipe. I'm like, it's Stipe.
Stipe. Stipe. Okay. And then I have $100 gift card coming from some of my sponsors. My sponsor, Amber Sports Gear, they're raffling off a $100 gift card for me. Also, Exxon X bands, they're throwing some energy bands, and then I have some air loops. My air loop company, they're offering up some air loops, and it just seems like everybody has been offering some things for this. For my donations and for this raffle, and even you're offering off some of your shirts too, so which I really appreciate that. So it gives more people the opportunity to win things, and I like to give things back. It helps. If somebody, if you're going to donate money, at least you have the opportunity to get something back.
Exactly.
And I'm also offering off, everybody that wants like a signed autograph picture, an 8x7 signed autograph picture. Anybody that donates is more than welcome to one. Just send me your address and I'll mail it out to you.
Yeah, that's a deal right there, especially 5 years from now when you're, a world famous champion and someone would be really happy to have those.
Yeah, and I don't mind. Those are free. I do have some that I'm selling for $20, but they're like they're 18 by 12 posters. So I mean, those are just pretty expensive to have made. So I'm selling those off. But everything goes to my fundraiser, so I'm selling those for like $20. But any little bit helps, and everybody that has already donated, and everyone who's helped to retweet and share things, to help me raise this money, it's really been a blessing. And I just want to thank everybody. And I want to thank anybody else who wants to help too. Yeah,
anyone else that would be interested in helping you out and donating and getting involved in the various raffles that you're giving out. If you're listening, I don't know how long you'll be doing the fundraising, but if you're listening, definitely in February of 2015, take a look at everything. I'll link to your social media, your Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and we'll let people know how to get in touch with you. But for sure, if you're listening to this anytime soon, come check out everything that you're raffling off, because there's some really good items in there, like you just said, and it really help you out as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, Andrea, it's time for your one tip. I'm sure you have a lot of different tips, but just share one fitness tip for the listeners that might give them an edge in their workout or their diet plan.
My one tip would be for anybody that's interested in dieting and trying to stay in shape or get in shape. I would just say to meal prep, because meal prepping is like super important, especially for fighters, and for anybody who's trying to get in shape. Because it's so hard if you're trying to cook your own food or cooking too much or too much of the wrong thing. So, what we do and what I like to do is, fix up something for throughout the week. Maybe I'll grill a few chicken breasts or some fish fillets, or I'll even mix some red meat in there. For my lifting days, I like to eat red meat on my lifting days. So I like to meal prep out throughout the week, and that helps me stay kind of strict and on a strict diet, and it keeps me regimented. And so I would say that would be something for people to do if they're interested in staying in shape and staying fit, would be to meal prep throughout the week.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Depending on who you are and what your goals are, your diet's going to be different, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So, obviously, each person's going to have to do a little more research on their own. But yeah, I 100% agree with that. Meal prepping is super important. It's something I surely don't do enough of, but it can make all the difference in the world as far as your diet plan and your training goes. I can tell you right now, if any sort of, especially with weight training or body composition where you're trying to, change your body type or really trim down, it's 75% diet. You know, a lot of people think, especially the newcomers that just start getting into any kind of fitness, they think that exercising alone will do it. And, you know, exercising is important, but believe it or not, it's literally probably 25% of what you're going to ultimately look like. I mean, diet is everything. I mean, diet is basically,
it really is.
yeah. Like when you go train, you're training your muscles to grow, you're burning some calories, but you're not going to build those muscles unless you have the right food. And you're not going to burn much fat if you just go, you know, eat a bunch of junk after you've worked out. You know what I mean? So meal prepping is a huge deal. So that's actually a really great tip. I love it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And if you could please share any failures or struggles that you've had in your career or your fitness journey, because I know that pro MMA is very dependent on fitness. You know, there's no denying that. You know, the best fighters in the world end up in the best organizations, and it's super competitive. And the best of the best fighters, you know, are undoubtedly super fit. That's just, you know, one of the many traits. You got to have a lot of the knowledge, you got to have the skills, the coaching, you know, game planning, etc. But your cardio and conditioning, your strength, you know, all of that is, you know, I would say it's got to be just as important, you know. And since you're a pro fighter, could you just discuss, you know, anything that you've, you know, any kind of struggles or any hardships or anything you've had to overcome, you know, in achieving, you know, the level of pro fighter?
Well, you know, I do have a 3-year-old daughter, and I was already fighting, you know, whenever I had gotten pregnant. I wouldn't say that's like a failure or anything, because that by no means is a failure, but it was a struggle because I had to, you know, in my head I was thinking, you know, well, I hadn't gone anywhere yet. You know, I mean, I was fighting at Golden Gloves, and you know, I had some boxing matches and stuff, and you know, the Olympics was on my mind at that point, but I was worried, you know, that I wouldn't be able to continue training and going and to where I had, you know, in my head, like I had wanted to go. But after I had Ainsley, you know, I just started, you know, training and getting back into it, and I was running and, you know, I was getting my cardio in. I mean, like as soon as the doctor said that I could start working out, which was like 6 weeks after Ainsley was born, I was already back down to my fight weight, if not smaller than I was before. And you know, that was a huge struggle because, you know, I had to overcome that. And I mean, I worked out too while I was pregnant. I trained, I ran a lot, and I stayed in fit shape. You know, because fighting was on my mind, and, you know, getting back into shape and staying in shape was on my mind. I just wanted to be healthy. And then, you know, I have a lot of success and, you know, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and stuff. You know, and I've competed and I've done well. But I guess my most recent failure, you know, would be my fight with Roxanne. It's my biggest upset so far to date, and you know, I'm struggling with obviously my ear situation. I'm having surgery on that, and so that I'm having to struggle and overcome. But other than that, you know.
Yeah, that's
every day is really a struggle, though.
Yeah,
Getting up and forcing myself, and you know, training 8 hours a day. You know, it's tough. You know, but you know, it's all mindset.
Yeah, that's a good point. Everyday training is a struggle for you know, when you're training for mixed martial arts, because there's so many different disciplines you have to train for along with your fitness. But yeah, that's actually, you're right. You know, a lot of women, you know, that's something that men don't have to go through is pregnancy. You know, so that's is you know, pregnancy is a wonderful thing, of course, but as far as your fitness is concerned, you know, that's definitely a setback for every woman that, you know, that has children. You know, but men never have to deal with that. Okay, Andrea, could you share a motivational quote that has given you some inspiration, please?
Well, I don't know how much inspiration this quote can give, but it's one that, you know, me and my husband liked, and we quote it all the time. And let's see who can guess where this quote came from. Okay. We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak. Here on the street, in competition, if a man faces you, he is the enemy. An enemy deserves no mercy.
Oh my gosh, Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That actually applies really well to what you're doing.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I love that. That's a good one. I'm going to present you with a tough scenario, a tough fitness related scenario, just for fun. And I'd like you to give some advice on how you'd handle it. What I told you was I prepared you beforehand, obviously. And your tough scenario is, let's say you get called to fight on 1 week's short notice and you accept. Now, what is your specific training to get ready for the fight, from a technical standpoint, mentally and physically, without much preparation? And this is something that, you took a fight on 2 weeks notice just a few months ago. So, I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this, but let's just imagine, you may or may not actually take a fight on one week's notice, but I guess if you were in shape and the money was right, you might do it. So,
right.
What would you do to actually prepare to fight someone with that short of notice?
Well, see, when I'm not injured, or about to have surgery, I'm always in training camp. I don't ever really take a whole lot of time off. Like, I get at least like 1 day a week off from training. So I try to stay fit and in shape, and I feel like I'm always ready. I think that the weight cut would be my main concern a week out. But other than like my training, I feel like I would be comfortable and I wouldn't have to I wouldn't have to like change it up too much. I mean, I guess depending on, if the opponent was like, let's say a wrestler, then yeah, for that week, I would probably train to defend more takedowns or, I'd work on my jiu-jitsu some that way in case I did get taken down. At least I would be comfortable, off my back or in a bad position. If, I'm fighting against somebody who's a stand-up opponent, well, that's something that I love, and I don't feel like I would want to. I mean, that's where I want the fight to be is on the feet. So, I would be happy and content there. And if I fight somebody like Roxanne, well, then again, you want to, just defend the takedowns as much as you can and try to keep it, in your world. But for the most part, I stay in shape so that I can take fights on short notice.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, you never know when a good opportunity is going to appear or approach. Just like the whole Roxanne fight, that was a great opportunity for me. I mean, it was. I feel like I had the opportunity to win that fight, and I could have won that fight. Had things like the circumstances been different, but either way, win or lose, it was still a good fight for me. So I mean, like in the amateurs, we get offered fights on short notice like all the time.
Uh-huh.
So it's just easier to stay in shape and stay ready, because you never know when that call is going to come. Especially in the pros. I mean, look at Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, he was ready to go short notice. He was ready to go again if Diaz wasn't able to take the fight. So I mean, he's obviously always ready too. So you just never know.
Yeah, and he's
stay ready.
Yeah, and people love him for it. He's he's just growing in popularity from that, and he's making more money. It doesn't hurt that he's been winning, but
right.
Like you said, it's that you can't pass up some of these opportunities. No matter how crappy the situation may be that presents itself.
If I had the opportunity to fight Ronda Rousey,
yep,
I would take it
for sure.
I mean,
I wouldn't turn that down.
I wouldn't turn that down. I mean, we all know that would be a tough fight. I'm not saying, I don't want to sit here and say that I would lose, but I mean, come on, it's Ronda Rousey. And it would just be an opportunity of a lifetime to freaking compete against her and to fight her, win or lose.
Specifically talking about her, the bar has been set so low because, very few of her opponents have been able to do anything to her. So, I mean,
I know.
That gives you a leg up right there that, like I said, the bar has been set so low, but you've got ridiculous striking. So, I mean, honestly, you have really good striking, and you're well-rounded. If you look at, if anybody, just checks out your accolades, you have tons of experience in like jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, all of that. But, I don't think you're that far off for sure. So yeah, that wouldn't be too scary.
Well, if I was to fight Ronda Rousey, I would just have to try to keep her away from clinching up for me.
Exactly.
And that's hard to do in an MMA fight, because you always find yourself in the clinch. But if an ideal fight for me with Ronda Rousey would to stay out of the clinch and fight her from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. If it was just, who knows? If it went to the ground, you might have some success there too. You obviously wouldn't want to count yourself out. But if it was just purely a stand-up match, let's say it's a kickboxing match or something, gosh, even against, someone such as her, I think you'd do great. I'm sure you feel that way too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're pretty confident.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, that's saying a lot. I think that's pretty much it, for the episode. We try to keep them fairly short here.
Yeah.
Could you let everyone know anything that you're excited about coming up in the future besides your impending surgery? I don't know if you have any fights booked yet, or you're just waiting to heal up, or what?
Well, actually, I do have a fight booked, so I will be more than happy to tell everybody. In May, I believe it's May 27th or May 28th, I will be making my kickboxing debut on the next Legacy card in Shreveport. It's actually going to be here in my hometown, so I'm super excited about that. I get to fight in front of my hometown. It is a kickboxing match, and again, it's on Legacy, so it should be aired on Access Television.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to look up any of my social media outlets, I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. My Twitter and Instagram account are the same name. It's Andrea Lee Aaron. Okay, so a lot of people might have a hard time finding me because, they look up KGB Lee, which I need to change some things, but it's Andrea Lee Aaron, all one word. With 2
A's in the word Aaron.
Yes, Aaron. And then my Facebook fan page is Andrea KGB Lee. I also have a website for my Herbalife. If anybody's interested in nutrition and want to get in shape, they can email me at andreakgбlee.com. I'd like to thank my Herbalife sponsor. They keep me in shape and keep me healthy. Amber Sports, Classic Stone, and Carbonation Toys. I just picked up a new sponsor, so thank you very much, Carbonation Toys.
I saw a photo of that. What is that? It looks like they're toys inside of kind of like a soda can in a way.
Yeah, they're super cute, but they're for like collector items. So, they're limited edition. So they're only gonna sell so many, and then every 6 months or so they're gonna come out with a new line. But they're planning on doing an MMA line.
Oh,
so
cool.
They'll probably even have a KGB model. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh wow, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think I could probably sell some of those. That would be pretty easy to sell. Yeah, thank you all my sponsors, everybody that, all of my fans and everybody who's helped donate. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody's just so wonderful. I think I have the best fans ever. And that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and like Michael Schiavello said, you're going places for sure. You're definitely someone to follow, and I appreciate you doing the show and doing the interview. And we'll definitely get this out there and try to get everyone involved with your surgery fundraiser. It's really fun for people, because there's a lot of cool things that they could win in the raffle. It's definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, there's definitely 11 items that people can win. So far there's 11. You just added a couple more items, so shirts and stuff. So. It's 12.
I may have already asked you, but how much longer do you think you'll do the fundraiser?
I think we're going to do the fundraiser for another month, because we got the bills coming after the surgery, and so I'm just going to raise as much as I can and just see what I can get.
Okay, cool. So definitely, if you're listening to this in February, maybe even March of 2015, check out Andrea's social media, and I guess the donations are going to a specific PayPal account. You can find all that information, no problem. Awesome. It was a great interview. I'm really looking forward to the rest of your career, and I know you're going to be, going places and achieving a lot more. And I'm looking forward to see you fight again. I'll definitely tune into your Legacy fight. I'm sure that'll be aired on Access TV, and definitely your next Invicta.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show. I hope that you don't have to edit too much to make me sound.
Yeah, no.
Smart.
That'll be great.